What's up, y'all? Welcome in, everybody. Thank you so much for being here today. We are on a 10-day streak. How crazy is that? 10 days of going live. And if you're new here, if you saw an email that I perhaps sent out or somebody linked this to you, my name is Pat Flynn. I'm here to help you make more money, save more time, and help more people too. But I'm mostly here live every day at 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern, because we're all going through some stuff right now, right? And we need a little bit of regularity. We need a little bit of normalcy. And although I don't consider myself a normal person, I wanted to provide something that you can look forward to each day. I also want to be there as a resource to help out. It holds me accountable to waking up in the morning. And it's just a great way to have fun and connect. And honestly, after these hours in the morning, I always come out of it fired up, ready to get to work. And hopefully this does the same for you. And a lot of fun stuff to share. Before I get into the questions, what's up? Good to see all y'all. Just Samson says he's driving, so I'm going to listen now and watch the playback later. Very smart thing to do, my friend. Make sure that you stay safe. We don't want anything happening to anybody, really. But this is not that important to look at, and your safety is more important. Really quick, we published a blog post yesterday. No, not a blog post, a podcast episode, and it's here on the Online Business Toolkit page. You can find that at smartpassiveincome.com/toolkit. And these are free resources that my team and I put together for you to help you during this time. We have free books. My books are for free there, free courses. And we have a new podcast episode that just came out. This episode number 2 of the emergency podcast episode that just came out within my normal feed for Smart Passive Income. This is steps to take when you get laid off. Unemployment has been at an all-time high for obvious reasons. 3.3 million people filed for unemployment last week, which is an all-time record. That's like 3 million more than normal or something like that, which is insane. And so we wanted to provide a resource for you in case you got laid off or you knew somebody who got laid off. And this starts with me talking about my story in 2008, because in 2008, I was also made redundant and got let go. Hence my book called Let Go because I got let go from my job, but also let go because I had to learn how to let go of who I thought I was supposed to be, of the path that I was on in order to grow into becoming an entrepreneur. Then the second half of the episode, actually most of the episode, is our COO, CFO, Matt Gartland, who came on to share some tips if you're going to start a freelancing career. So taking some skills that you have, perhaps now that you're laid off and you have time, how can you turn some knowledge that you have, wisdom that you have, into some sort of consultation business or a freelancing career? And he's helped several people do that. And so that episode is there at smartpassiveincome.com/toolkit. Again, right here, smartpassiveincome.com/toolkit. And by the way, there's also a free course there that is not normally free. And before I get to the questions here, I just want to say thank you to those of you who have shared that page, because we have a course there called Smart from Scratch. It's still free. It's going to be free as long as this thing exists. And it is $249 normally, but we're giving it away for free. We are about to cross $1 million worth of that course being downloaded. $1 million. Just thank you so much. I'm really, really incredibly excited that we're able to help out in that way. And, yes, obviously not all of those people would have purchased it, but now is a good time to get into that. And we're just really thankful we have that opportunity to do that. We know that we're sitting in an interesting position with my experience having been laid off and our ability to help people start new things, that we're just pouring it in, trying to give it out to, we're just trying to give away as much as we can right now. That being said, we're still having plans to sell things as well for those who aren't necessarily 100% struggling right now. We do have a course being launched today. It's our advanced podcasting course. We're doing a webinar. I'm going to be doing an offer for it afterwards. I still think it's important to sell, to have a marketing plan, to, if you have a business, keep going. People are still buying, and there's a lot of people who still see this as an opportunity and are willing to invest in their future. But at the same time, you got to change your marketing messaging a little bit. You have to understand that you don't want to be tone deaf in this situation as well, which is pretty cool. So what's up, everybody? Good to see you. And let's see. Yeah, I think that, and by the way, Grandma Goody's Bible Stories said she paid for that course a while back. And again, thank you for being okay with me giving it away now. I know you paid for it, but it is something that is really important to me to help out with right now. And thank you for that. Let's see. How can you put in that sound that says serious, man? Haha. or stay that serious, man. You know, I hardly hear the sound because it's in my soundboard here. But I'm not going to stay serious the entire time because I'm trying to lighten the mood for everybody, right? Okay. So what live chat video program are you using right now? Let's see. That's the question from I am Northwest Arkansas. So I'm using Ecamm Live. So if I type in Ecamm, or if, sorry, patflynn.com/Ecamm, that is my affiliate link, by the way. And this is the tool that I'm using to broadcast this live right now, to put the text on the screen, to put your text on the screen. Really, really cool. And just want to say hello to everybody. What's up, Brittany, Joanna, Ben, Michael, Ellen, Rich, Xenia, Vlada. Thanks for the thumbs down. I appreciate you. I'm sorry you're having a bad day, but hey, hopefully we can turn that frown upside down, or we could turn that thumb up some. I just made that up. What's up, Dale, Bert, Christian, Ellen, Fee, Trex, Carrie, Karma Cashflow, Colin, Bert, Disney Travel Secrets. Hey, big shout out to Rob and Carrie over at Disney Travel Secrets. Hey, Pat, looking forward to your webinar later today. We launched 3 years ago, thus this week after taking your course. Thank you. Definitely check out Rob and Carrie at Disney Travel Secrets. If you like Disney, they have a great podcast. They helped me book my Disney traveling, and they're amazing. Their business has increased like 400% since starting their podcast, which is really great. So somebody's saying, is this where we submit questions? Hopefully that proves the answer there. What's up? Yes, absolutely. It's me, Randy. Hey, what's up, Randy? Great to see you. Thank you so much. I appreciate you for being here. We're already over 100 people. I haven't even yet sipped my coffee, and we're just going to dive into the questions here. So I appreciate you. What up, Diego? Thank you for being here. OMG, you acknowledged the thumbs down. You are truly a class act. Hey, I'm just trying to make it fun. Amused Muse, morning. Good to see you. Question from Karma Cashflow. How far in advance do you plan out your podcast YouTube episodes? YouTube episodes are typically planned about a week or two ahead of schedule. I wish I could get a little bit further ahead, but it takes a little bit more time to both process, edit, record, all that sort of stuff. With the podcast, honestly, we're already recorded through June. Actually, most of July now by now. So we do plan ahead. There are moments like recently where we do sort of ad hoc podcast episodes for emergency situations, such as what's happening right now. Again, by the way, if you're just coming in right now, smartpassiveincome.com/toolkit to get access to some free stuff that we're giving away right now. And I appreciate that for those of you who are there. And a lot of people have done some amazing things with the stuff that's there already. So yeah, that's the basic schedule. Writing Dojo, what's up, my friend? Good to see you. Miss you, sorry. Can you share some early thoughts regarding Flynn Con 2? Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Sorry about, because my team and I are still making final decisions. By the way, the decision is it's going to be canceled. It's just going to be unable. It's just impossible for us to put this event together, even if things were to open up. Although here in Cali, it looks like, at least here in the U.S., especially within Cali, that things aren't going to get better anytime soon. So we're going to cancel it. I'm going to send an email out very shortly here, likely tomorrow or early next week. And we're going to be offering refunds or other possibilities for you to get access to things that perhaps you might not have gotten access to. We will not be doing a virtual Flynn Con. I will say that again. We're not going to be doing a virtual Flynn Con, because to me, Flynn Con, which is my event that happens every year here in San Diego, Flynn Con is an event that is meant to be in person. It is meant to take what you learn on stage and then be around people to talk about those things. It's meant to go up to the smart bar where Teachable and ConvertKit are, to be able to ask them questions, to open up your computer and go, here's my account. Why didn't this work? Can you help me? And this is why there are an hour and a half long breaks in between talks, because I want that connection and community. That's what Flynn Con is. That's the definition of Flynn Con, but that's not going to happen. There still might be a live event of some kind, but it's not going to be sort of a repurpose, like, hey, keep your ticket and use it for the virtual event. If anything, we might make this virtual event that we're going to put together free, just to kind of bring people together. So hopefully that helps answer your question. All right. There's always one single thumbs down. It perhaps is the alibi thumb for Google's algorithm. I appreciate that. Or maybe it's you, right? Whoever smelt it dealt it, right? Just kidding. Let's see. Jeff says, what's with a single thumbs down every morning? What can we do to make it a better experience for you? Hey, just keep showing up. That's all I ask. That is it. Rap in Combat, what's up, man? I appreciate you. I did see the direct message come in. I will promise to get back to you today on that. Hey, Pat, are you going to Podcast Movement this year? All travel has currently been suspended. This is from me to me, and it is something that is a little bit further in the future. Should things be safe? Should things come back? Yeah, I would definitely love to go. Although I can't promise anything. I think it's in Orlando this year, is it not? That'd be really cool. Awesome. Okay, Corey says, hope you don't mind 3 questions. Let's do it. I got 3 quick answers for you. Number 1, got a little motivated to do 3 videos per week, then thought 2 might be more realistic. Now that I think that's a consistent once a week is a good move. I would say it doesn't matter what the move is, just be consistent with it. And I would start at 1 a week. If you have the ability to and you see open time in your schedule and your team to get a second one up, great. If you have more time after that, a third one on YouTube, yes. More frequently is better typically, although once the quality starts to degrade, then it's not worth it anymore. Let's see. I don't see your other questions, so we'll get to them when we get to them. Since Quaranteam, I finished my working day with you. It's 4 p.m. finishing my stuff. So you're not in the US, obviously. Listening to you, gaining energy to think about how to develop my side podcast, service projects. Greetings from Poland. Poland, did you know I'm 1/8 Polish, half Filipino, a quarter Irish, hence Flynn. 1/8 Russian, 1/8 Polish. I love me some international mixing. That's weird to say. Bert says, hey, Pat, my podcast is going to be interviews with cool old men. How can I start out with interviews after a short personal intro? Well, how do you start out with interviews? Yeah. You mean in the episodes itself, or how might you go reach out to people if your introductory episode's about you? Number 1, just reach out to people and ask. Start with your network if you have any relationships. Start with your network to also ask if they know anybody that can help. And then go out and seek people and find people and see if you can connect with them online and perhaps even send them a video, I would recommend. Now, if you're talking about within a specific episode, perhaps starting with a small short intro and then diving right into the interview, just literally in the editing software, you have your intro, you stop, you drag and drop in the interview, and then you can just kind of start from there. And you usually start by welcoming the person in and having them give a little bit of a bio, and then you go ask the questions. And that sounds really cool. Quaranteam for the win. Thank you. Please, I appreciate that. All right. What's up? Hey, Mary, what's up? I don't want to see that frown. I want to see that frown turn upside down. So yeah, looking forward to Flynn Con. We're going to make it happen at some point. 2021 is likely going to be the thing that's going to make it happen. Tech nightmare, shake my head. Am I doing what I need to do here? Everything's cool? Okay, cool. Let's see. Wow, that was hard, but good. Is your Rodecaster Pro connected directly to your computer? Yes, it is. So I could potentially, for example, play something on the computer, send it through the Rode, and have it come back in the feed. I also have the ability to hear, as a result, play sound effects. Wasn't that funny? And all that kind of stuff. Oh, Podcast Movement is in Dallas, Brittany says. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Pat, if anyone could put off a virtual conference, it's you. Thank you. I appreciate that. I won't be the first person in the world to do it. A lot of people are migrating toward that, which is really cool too. Mihai says, maybe it make a rapport being more real, at least 1 thumbs down. Oh yeah, I get you. Maybe. So appreciate that. Looking forward to the next ones. Joanna says, hey Pat, would you go the route of beta testing an online course before launching? I always do that. Also, what's a great launch strategy? I'm nervous because my industry is events and experiences. So you want to try to get to a point, Joanna, where when you launch, you can be comfortable knowing that, it's actually the thing that people want. If you are launching and you're not sure if the thing that you are coming up with, not that you're not sure people aren't going to buy. That's always a question that everybody has before they launch, right? But at least knowing confidently that this thing that you're putting together or this offer that you have coming out is something that people have said, yes, they want, or they want, and it's something that if they have a problem, I'll solve it. Check out my mic as my DJ revolves it. So I don't know where I'm coming up with this stuff. Anyway. So a great launch strategy is there's a number of different ways to do that. Number 1, I would see that you have this thing coming way ahead of time, right? This is why with the SwitchPod, for example, before it launched 2 years in advance, you heard about the story, you already were invested in it, and you kind of were looking forward to it. 2 years is a long time, but that was a physical product. A lot of that 2 years was prototyping, manufacturing. Being in the digital space, you have a lot more freedom to move a lot quicker in the digital realm. So you can still do a lot of this sort of behind the scenes work in public situation where you're sort of building it with people, knowing that it's happening. And so that way when you launch it, it's not a surprise. And the beta testing is really, really key because number one, you can validate whether or not people want it or not, like actually will pay for it. And if they don't, that doesn't mean you scrap the whole thing. It just means the messaging wasn't there. If people don't buy, if they say things like, hey, Pat, this is too expensive, what they're really saying, if I unscramble that, means, Pat, I don't understand the value that you're offering. It's not worth it to me to part with my money to get back what it is that you're promising in return. And that's really the thing that you need to nail, Joanna, is the promise. What is the promise on the other end of this course? Before anything, focus on that. Do a beta launch. And then when you launch, hopefully you'll have some testimonials, some case studies that you can move forward with. And again, if it doesn't work, you go back to the last thing that did work. Perhaps it's you had conversations with people, they said they had those problems. Great, start again from that point. Or maybe you did sell a couple and you can dive into exactly what they might need help with even further so you can nail that messaging afterwards. All right. Corey says, number 2, my niche is 3 topics and I have 3 corresponding thumbnail graphics. Is it okay to keep reusing those 3 graphics for 3 thumbnails and keep changing the text? Massive thanks. There's pros and cons there. There's pros in that you will start to develop some sort of pattern recognition with your thumbnails by delineating the different types of episodes with the 3 different thumbnails. That's really smart. However, you lose the freedom that you could use if the topic makes sense to have some sort of other sort of curiosity-driven thumbnail. Thumbnails are really, really important on YouTube. And it's so important that I remember going to a conference and there were 2 sessions that were each 2 hours long just about the thumbnail alone. Like literally just about the thumbnail alone, which was really crazy. But it shows how important it is. And so if you stick to those things, you don't leave room or the ability to have customizations for things that, and the big thing about a thumbnail is you want it to be eye-catching. You want it to be something people see and they go, what? I need to click that right now. And if maybe there's a topic you do in the future or a topic in one of those 3 realms that could deserve a better thumbnail, then you just lose the ability to do that if you just stay with that concretely. Whew. How far in advance do you recommend promoting the launch of a new podcast? I typically recommend no less than 2 weeks. So 2 weeks promotion leading up to the launch of a podcast. Now, if you're in my course, Power Up Podcasting, I know a lot of people in there and a lot of students are sharing that, you can get through the content and have a podcast ready and up and running and ready to launch within a week. But I wouldn't recommend that. I do have a lot of stuff and material in that course all about getting your audience ready for it, leading up to it, right? If you had if you just gained a new ability right now to play guitar and you wanted to get up on stage, would it be better if you got up on stage like in 3 days? Or would it make more sense to tease it a little bit, to share a little bit of stuff here and there to get excitement so that 2 weeks down the road or 3 weeks down the road, you'll have more time to quote unquote sell tickets to that event and have more people in the audience when they're there, right? And by the way, make sure that when they're there, you have more than one song to play. And this is why I recommend when you have a podcast that you're launching, launch with 3 episodes minimal. 3 to 5 is what I would recommend, so you can have more in the can. You don't go crazy with like 30 on day 1, but having 3 on day 1 is massively important because you can have different subtopics you could talk about that could actually attract people more than the first episode. And typically the first episode's just an introductory episode. Doug, what's up, Doug? Hey, Pat. Doug was my favorite cartoon growing up, by the way, but it wasn't spelled the same way as you. Anyway, Pat, I know Cali's locked down and you can't get to the store. Would you like me to send you some razor blades? Ha, 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 ha. I do have a storage of razor blades, which are just securely put away for right now because I'm growing this beard out. And the reason I'm growing the beard out is because it's added protection. The thing spreads with little droplets and I feel like it could capture them. I'm just kidding. That's not why I'm doing it. I'm doing it because it just is something new, something different, and it is making me seem a little bit more believable. I don't know. Some people have said, Pat, ever since you've had this beard, I feel like that you've sort of stepped up in your authority, and I don't think that's true. I just think since this beard came out, the virus came out, and then here I am sort of like stepping up anyway. So I don't know. I'm just messing around with it. Does Ecamm allow you to throw those questions up on the screen? Yes, it does. Again, patflynn.com/Ecamm. That is my affiliate link. Ecamm alternative for PC, says Sophia. You could try something like OBS. There's also vMix, I think. And these are a lot higher level, production level type things. What I love about Ecamm is just very neatly laid out. But there are other options out there. I would actually recommend looking on YouTube here or on Google, Ecamm alternative. Question, how do you cope with the fear before starting something new? Number one, just realizing that that's always going to be something that's there. Fear before you start something new is, number one, a safety mechanism that your brain just offers so that you don't, do something that would potentially kill you, right? And the truth is, these things that we fear, especially with like businesses and stuff, they aren't going to kill us, right? We're only born with two fears. This is what I'm told. I'm not sure if it's true, but I like the story, so I'm going to tell it to you anyway. We're only born, actually, I'm going to give you some music while we're talking about this story. So we're only born with two fears, the fear of falling and the fear of loud noises. And we know this, or we think we know this, because when you are holding a baby, right, and you're bouncing up and down and you like go, oh, you pretend to fall. Don't just like pick up random babies to test that out. But, and I know this because I have two young ones, 7 and 10 now, but I remember doing this. You pretend to fall, and what would their arms do? It would like try to catch themselves, right? So that just shows that like, well, this is a way to sort of stop that from happening. And number two, loud noises. Same thing. When a baby hears a loud noise, they automatically punch out of nowhere, right? So we're only born with two fears. All these other fears are fabricated. They're fabricated from prior experiences, from the people who are around us, from what society says to do, from getting off the path because we're worried about having something that is external, put us down the wrong path and hurt us in some way. This fear is always going to be there. And what I've realized is that the more you fear, likely, the more important this thing is to you. And there's a direct correlation there. And Stephen Pressfield wrote a book called The War of Art. And in that book, he says, when you're trying to do something new, that's like a tree growing, right? And the bigger this tree is, the bigger the shadow becomes. It's just a one-to-one correlation of that fear. However, this tree represents new life. It represents something new. It represents oxygen, breathing. It's giving you life. And you can choose to look at the shadow, or you can choose to look at the tree and all that it's giving you and the resources that it's giving you. And I really like that analogy. And the truth is that fear is also just a sign. Fear turns into procrastination. It turns into, going back to the thing that you are comfortable. It turns into self-doubt. It turns into anger sometimes for some people, whatever that case may be. We have to realize that this fear is actually a sign that's important to us and that there's something better on the other side of it. Everything that I've started that has been huge, I've feared massively. When I got laid off in 2008, huge fear, what was going to happen? But this also was a huge opportunity, which is why we're all asking ourselves right now, well, what does this now make possible? Number two, when I got married, I remember I had feared just like asking, and just, it was so scary because I was worried. And not that I was worried that she was going to say no, but it was just a new part of life that I wasn't sure if I was ready to get into, but I asked, and it was beautiful and it was awesome. We're doing well. We have 2 kids now, and April's amazing. It's before writing my first books, before getting on stage, the fear always shows up. You just got to do it and realize that you're not going to get rid of that fear. I still get scared before I get on stage. I still get a little nervous before I go live here. Obviously, doing it more often, you get more practice, but that fear is never going away. The same parts of your brain light up when you fear something and when you're excited about something. Did you know that? And this is true. They can see what fires up in the brain. The same part of the brain fires up. So it's up to you to choose how you want that firing to be represented and put out in your life. Do you want to be fearful of that, or do you want to be excited and move forward with it? Chris says, I mentioned this a few times, but thanks to your help, I'm about to launch my first podcast. Signed up for Buzzsprout and designed a logo this morning. Only a few more things to do. Chris, you're almost there, man. Keep up the good work, and I promise it gets much easier from here. It's just the setup that's a little bit annoying because you have to connect all these things, your RSS feed that Buzzsprout will give you, and connecting it to all the directories. After you do the work, you just publish those MP3 files, put all the right data in there in Buzzsprout, and then they just get fired out to everybody, which is great. All right, I'm skipping around here. Let's see. Without all the cool bells and whistles, techie stuff, without a clear message or business plan in place, do you still recommend going live and or building a personal brand online? I think that it is really important to show up, even if you don't think you're fully ready, even if you don't have all the nice equipment, even if you don't have all the bells and whistles. And I think it's important to show up, especially now, because people are looking to other people to connect to. And even if it's just a few people who watch you live, those are real people. Imagine being in a room with them. That's essentially what you are doing, but in a virtual space. Additionally, people can watch the replays. Like, people watch those things and capture them later. And I think when it relates to building a personal brand, showing up live is a great way to get outside your comfort zone, to start connecting with real people, to start asking questions. As you can see here, we're building community here, and the community's even connecting with each other, which is a really cool sort of byproduct of you showing up live too in these sorts of situations. Pat, you must have many terabytes of video and such. Do you ever archive it on an external drive, or is your iMac still loaded with it all? Do you use a cloud solution? I use a external drive for sure to hold a lot of these things. There's some really good external drives, by the way, especially when I've started to edit a lot of YouTube videos. This one by Samsung is really good. This is the solid state drive that they have. I think there's like 2 terabytes on this or something, which is ridiculous. Oh, this is 1 terabyte. But this little thing is amazing. It doesn't make any noise, and it's what I upload my videos to when I'm using Final Cut Pro to edit, and it's where it reads from the library. It doesn't read from a video on my hard drive, and that way I can just collect them over time. Let's see. Question, are you watching other live streams? Maybe the people who inspire you? If yes, which? The only one I'm watching right now is a live stream show that happens, and it's very similar. It happens daily just during this time because he's stepping up to help people too. Ramit Sethi's live stream on Instagram every night. He does an amazing Q&A. He's really smart, especially when it comes to finances. And in this time, we could all use more help with that, right? So I would recommend checking out Ramit Sethi. If you do catch him live, let him know that I sent you. He's a good friend of mine. He's awesome. Question. Having just launched my podcast a couple days ago, which should I focus on more right now? Promoting, marketing to gain listeners, building up material for Patreon, lead magnet for emails. Those are all important, absolutely. And I would just choose the one that you're most excited about doing first, because that's what's likely going to get done first and get done well. Focusing on something that perhaps you don't have a lot of energy with when all things are essentially equally weighted, then, just go with the one that you're most excited about. If it were up to me, I would say it would be promoting, marketing the podcast, because I want to see those numbers go up. And to do that, you could do things like get on other people's shows and what have you. The lead magnet is obviously just as important, as well as Patreon if you have patrons already. So I would say it's really going to be up to you. Just crank out a plan and figure out when all these are going to get done, and have those steps in place to do that. What would you do if Google stops paying you and your product stops selling because people don't have money to spend because they lost their jobs? So this is an excellent question. Number one, a lot of people are telling the story that people aren't buying things right now. The truth is people are still buying things. I have talked to a lot of my cohorts and friends in all different spaces, from food to consultation to physical products, digital products, whatever. People are still buying. And I think that it's because now people are seeing opportunities to take advantage of the time that they have to get into certain things. Now, there's obviously going to be some spaces and niches where just things aren't going to be as good as they were before, but people are still buying, number one. But to go to your question, if people stopped buying and if Google stopped promoting my stuff, number one, I have the email list, by the way. So even if Google were to de-index my entire business, we'd still be okay because we have an email list. And this email list is really important. This is business insurance. If you aren't building an email list, you have to. But number two, that's what I would focus on: building the list, getting in connection with people, providing value, connecting with other influencers, other leaders, authorities out there who could potentially have me on their show. And that's how I would spread the word. That's how I would get out there. I'd use this time to build relationships, to start making connections, to start creating content, because that's stuff that can be used right now and can be out there. New Inception says, Pat, are you going to be a Colts fan this year? We have Rivers now. Man, football, I don't know. I've always been upset since the Chargers left San Diego. I'm very sad about sports right now. I don't want to talk about it. The homeschool search. Just got a basic homeschooling resource site up and running, have Facebook page, Instagram, but where do I start with marketing? Friends, family, ads? I mean, friends and family, just letting them know what you're up to and seeing if anybody else has a need for that stuff is a really smart thing to do, because you don't have to push it hard. You don't have to be aggressive with it, but you can let people know. And I think it's your obligation now with an amazing resource, especially in this day and age with what's happening right now. A lot of kids are at home. My kids are at home. Homeschooling, this is something that's going to pick up for sure. So definitely let your friends and family know, at least just as a resource, and say things like, if you know anybody who could make use of any of this stuff right now, come to the website or join my email list or send them here, etc. That could be really great. Secondly, whoa, I just dropped something. My bad. And secondly, connecting with other people who are doing homeschooling and perhaps providing resources for them that are unique to you, and then cross collaboration can be really key. Ads, I wouldn't necessarily get into. I hardly ever spend money on ads, or I hadn't for the first 8 years of my business, because I would much rather spend time building relational capital versus, spending money on ads. And that's truly where I feel a lot of the benefit will come from. Ads without a return that you can track is a dangerous game, because you can spend ads for exposure, but how do you know if who it is that you're attracting, or if the keywords that you're targeting, or the interests and the likes on Facebook that you're targeting are actually worth converting or will ever convert? It's when you have the sort of I'll pay Facebook $1 and I'll get $1.20 back situation. When you can calculate it to that level, that's when it becomes really neat, and you have that ability to plan and invest and put effort into that. Question, have you done a setup and training on how to use Ecamm Live yet? I think you should. That is a video that's up there and on the top of my priority list for sure. I will be doing that very soon. What mic are you using right now? Dustin, I'm using, and by the way, I still have to put together a list of all the equipment I'm using. And I'm going to have two versions, like the version I'm using, which is very high end, and I'm going to be using, and then I'll put together like a basic one that can get you similar results. So this mic right here is a Rode NTG shotgun mic, and it's shotgun and it works well. And it's like, if you ever watch like a sitcom behind the scenes, you see the guy holding the boom arm, pointing that little furry microphone to that person's mouth. That's essentially what I have here without the furriness, because we're not outdoors. I'm not moving it around or anything. So that's what I'm using. And it's great because I can just have it right off of screen. It sounds really great, but I don't have to have my shirt all pinched with a lapel mic, and it can sound a little tinny sometimes, or a podcast mic like right in front of my face like that. Is that the Rodecaster Pro on the table? It is, absolutely. It is awesome. Man, great conversation today. Love you guys for being here. Thank you so much. If you want to hook me up with a thumbs up, that'd be awesome. If you want to hook me up with a thumbs down, that's okay too. As long as you're here, you're interacting, you're having fun. And you don't have to interact either. I know there's some of you who may be watching this who are a little bit secretive about it right now, right? Like your volume's low, or you have your headphones on, and maybe you just aren't in the conversation. That's okay. I love you for being here too. However you choose to consume, I'll be down for. Joanna says, Pat, can you elaborate more on video storage? I'm just using what I have available, iMovie, to edit my course lectures, running out of space, not sure how to change, so iMovie pulls from an external. So cloud storage like Dropbox can work really well. Also Google Drive. I mean, these are really cheap solutions for you to start to put a lot of the stuff. So what I would have, Joanna, if I were you, for example, is you're editing the videos, they're on your computer. I use this external one sort of while I'm editing. So I plug this in and I use this. But you could also use something like Dropbox, not for sort of live editing, but after you're done and the videos are sort of done with, you're never going to touch them unless you have to later, then like pop them into sort of a deep archive storage solution, like a cloud-based one like Dropbox or Google Drive. That way you can remove them from your computer. They're still available if you need them, but they're out of sight, out of mind for now. And you can just kind of keep that storage there. And, I like, for some people that's not possible. If the videos are done and you're okay with it, you could delete them if you want. I've deleted several of my YouTube videos from way back in the day that I just know aren't going to be touched anymore. So that's always a possibility too. Let's see. Pat, of my fear that I think I'm going to be in the wrong direction, I'm preparing to launch a blog, but looking at the stats, I think I'd be better off going the podcast YouTube route. So the fear is that you're going to be going in the wrong direction. The truth is, the fear is a story that you're making up. You're not sure what's going to work. You're not sure, and so you have to try and uncover the truths. And I did a video recently that was published a couple days ago. Actually, thank you for those of you who came on early and commented after that. It's the one with Elon Musk, and it's tapping into Elon Musk's principles, like first principle approach. And what he talks about in that sort of approach is, if something seems impossible, you're not sure, like try to get to a point where you can sort of uncover what the truths actually are. So that the truth is, well, people can start a successful blog. The truth is people can start a successful podcast and a successful YouTube channel. So whichever one you choose, it's what you do on that platform that will determine what works or what doesn't. So part of that is, okay, well, what would what would potentially make you fail on one of those platforms? Let's say, you choose to do a blog. If a year from now you're still continuing with the blog and you're writing every day, is that something you think you could keep up? Is that something that would excite you? Same question for the videos and the podcast. Maybe one is more exciting than the other that you feel like you could get up every day or once a week and do and have fun with. There is something to be said, however, for those multimedia platforms. There is some rise in podcasting, obviously, and of course on YouTube as well, for having people watch and listen to you or just listen to you. There's just a deeper connection that can happen. But maybe you wake up a year from now and you're doing a podcast and you absolutely hate it, and thinking about that, and or maybe you get excited about it and it's like the best thing ever. And what I mean by hating about it is like you just dread getting behind the microphone every time. That is something you can learn yourself out of as well. So I would recommend picking one and going and trying and realizing that that is not a permanent decision too. You can pivot. That's what entrepreneurship is all about, pivoting. You have a goal, but pivoting is the way to get around all the obstacles. Pivoting is not going back to square one. Pivoting is trying a different direction to get to the goal. But as long as you understand sort of who it is that you're serving and what you're trying to help them with, that might also help you determine what direction to go down to. Scrap Happy says, can you talk us about who shouldn't use Patreon? Why would you not want to use it? So I wouldn't use Patreon if you know that you don't have the ability to further serve those patrons. Patrons on Patreon are people who spend a little bit of extra money with you to thank you for what you do, but also have an expectation of something in return. It depends on what level they support you with. But if you can't serve them, then it's not worth doing for right now. But having those people there could light a fire under you to step up and actually make that happen and do something for them. But if that also would also degrade the quality of the things that you're promoting and pushing right now, then that can be a definite issue as well. Patreon is great, though. I did an interview with Jack Conte, who is the founder of Patreon, as well as Tom Merrill, who is a tech podcaster. I mean, man, the success of a lot of people who are on Patreon, and the beauty of that is you don't have to ask your audience to buy things necessarily. You can do it on top of that, but just realize that too many asks can be quite hard on your audience if you do it too often. But then you don't have to have advertising on the show too. Like that is your advertising essentially. What are you using for your webcam? So for right now, I'm using the comments just stopped all of a sudden, by the way. So if you could comment in case you were just sitting back listening to a story or something, let me know, because it's very unusual to have the comments sort of just stop all of a sudden like that. But I'm going to continue on here either way. But what webcam am I using? I'm using currently a Canon EOS R DSLR camera. This is a very expensive DSLR camera that's connected to a box called the Blackmagic Web Presenter, which then allows me to connect the HDMI cord from the Canon to the Blackmagic Presenter, and the Blackmagic Presenter then will feed a USB cable and that stream into there for me. Yeah, the questions are coming in, which is really interesting. So this shirt, Jamin, is from my team and I designed it, and it was a gift during the Cyber Monday launch last year. So if anybody purchased anything during Cyber Monday last year from us, because we were offering deals for our courses, we just gave this t-shirt away. It's currently not available right now. Let's see here. I'm going to go to YouTube now to find my own feed and see what's going on, because it's super weird that the live stream is not picking up. So there's 167 people here. All right, it's this. Is the chat working? Huh. That's weird. The last question I see on my chat is the last question that I see here, but I also don't see any new things coming on. I don't know if something happened where it's just, I don't know, it's not coming in. But I'm going to answer questions anyway, because it looks like I'm still on live. So I apologize. After building the tiny houses question, I do not see any more questions coming in. Error sending message. Huh. Error sending message. The chat is not working, I guess. So we got a load of questions here. I'm going to continue anyway because, hey, technology, it happens, but we can still make use of this. So thank you for being here. Let's stick around. And I apologize that I won't be able to answer, and it looks like that you guys won't be able to connect with each other, at least at this moment in time. But eventually, I'm going to probably just see a whole rush of things come in because I don't know why there's an error. Thanks, YouTube. That's okay. Got to be grateful for YouTube. They're allowing me to connect with you. So if that's not possible, then I guess that's okay. If you do still see me and hear me, though, hook me up with a thumbs up. I just want to see a whole bunch come in to make sure that I'm still talking to people. Ellen says, I'm a Pats fan. No more Brady. I'm actually okay with that. It was time. No more Vinoy. Yeah. But you could also be a Pat fan, too, if you'd like. Any tips, tricks, resources, or advice for people in the audio-visual production niche? Yeah, I mean, especially for right now, there's a lot of people who are doing audio and visual and video-related things for the first time ever. There's likely going to be a new normal where people are going to start to realize that they can connect with people and actually create more videos, create more audio-related things here during this time. I think that with the boom of podcasting, and we're still in the very early days of it, we could take advantage of that as well. And I would say you got to come up with your own special sort of unique or at least known ability for whatever it is. What is your superpower in the AV space? Because there's a lot of people. You're not the first person to do AV stuff and help people online with that. So I would consider either having a special superpower that is your sort of knack, or perhaps a special sort of a niche that you might be in, right? So maybe you select specifically women podcasters, like you are the tech person for women podcasters. And that way a person who's starting a podcast who's a woman might be more attracted to working with you because that's exactly who you serve. And that's just one way to go about sort of niching down. It could be based on an offering or positioning, or it could be based on who it is that you're targeting. Diego says, is there any resource you could point me to help me make my terms and conditions page? There's a lot of resources online. I'm not an attorney, by the way, or any form of legal counsel for anybody. I have my own team of lawyers, and obviously the best case scenario is you have your own attorney who could draft them up for you and your thing specifically. I thank you for all the thumbs up. It looks like you guys are still here, so there we go. When it comes to where was I? That can be really expensive, though. So you could look at places like the next level would be going to places like Upwork.com to get something customizable for you, meaning it's tailored specifically to you, your situation, which is always the best case scenario. So Upwork.com, you could likely hire somebody for just, $100 or even less, perhaps, to find somebody who could sort of take their own, boilerplate stuff and put your stuff in there perfectly. In addition to that, there's a lot of sort of Mad Lib style generators that are out there. I think LegalZoom even also has some of that kind of stuff. And there are some, cases where it might make sense for you to just see what's out there already and tailor it to yourself. However, again, I'm not legal. This is just my opinion. This is just a way a lot of people are doing it. So it can really vary. But I think it's really important to have like the right things on there. Hey, we got the chat. It is working. Fantastic. Thanks, everybody. Todd came in. He's the only one to be able to get a chat in recently, so maybe that's just a sign that the chat will work for y'all. Hey there, Pat, just testing the chat. Love your channel. Thank you, Todd. I appreciate you. Let's scroll up for some more questions. Is podcast a product or a service? Is a podcast a product or a service? A podcast is content, and a content can lead to a product or service, which is essentially an offering. A podcast is not a paid offering. It's a piece of content, a platform, really, more than anything. Let's see. Pat, are you going to be, we talked about that already. Seems like chat is back. Yay. Thanks, everybody. Madeline says, hey, Pat, do you have a video on how to create a membership on YouTube where I can charge, like a membership site on YouTube? I believe that, I know it's possible. I'm not sure if it's possible for everybody, Madeline. You might need to reach a certain level before you can start charging that. But I do know that this is possible. I even have the possibility myself. The way that you would find out is in your Creator Studio. Go to the monetization setting on the left-hand side, and there you're going to see things like your merchandise that you could set up there through Teespring, and there's also one for memberships, if that's open for you. I'm not necessarily sure if that's open for everybody, so I'm not exactly sure. But that's where it would be. Diego says, Shopify has some templates that you can use, not guaranteed how good they are, but it's a starting point. Yeah, Shopify is great. Morgan says, we used Patreon before and I had no problems with it. That's awesome. Heather says, sweet, it seems to be working again. I'm testing, I'm seeing new chats. Yes, absolutely. So welcome in. We can start having conversations again. That was super weird. Super, super strange. Thank you all for being here again. I go live every morning, 8 a.m. Hopefully you guys are having fun here. We do this to provide some regularity, to provide the ability to connect in this time where we're feeling like we're so alone and isolated, but we're here together. We're alone together, like the title of today's stream is. So welcome to the Quaranteam. If you haven't yet already, make sure you hit subscribe and also that bell notification icon so that you can get notified when new lives go up, as well as when new videos get published 2 or 3 times a week. And I'm just doing everything I can to step up and provide value, because this is a crazy time that we're living in right now. And I've lived through and have gotten laid off as a result of the one in 2008. And this is obviously a different kind of sort of worldly situation, but I felt it back then too, but it was also the best thing that could ever happen to me. And this is why I'm showing up. I know that this can be a pivotal moment for many people's lives. And I think that when I think back to 2008 and what helped me get through that was finding inspiration elsewhere from people whose voices I heard on a podcast. And now I have podcasting, live stream, the blog, my team there supports you. And I'm hoping that we could be a part of your story, because gosh, I've probably said internet business mastery at least 200,000 times in my career since getting laid off, because that was the podcast that I found. And that was the community that I invested in. That was where I got help. Jeremy and Jason, I owe so much to them. And so hopefully I can show up in your story later on as a result of the things that you're going to take advantage of now with what opportunities are now created. Is there a reasonable period of time once all systems are in place to give it for when one's affiliate efforts might start kicking in? I already have like 8 sales, but I'm still keeping my day job. I mean, that's kicking in already, right, Corey? But I think that, just know that as you grow, it's important to plant these seeds for affiliate opportunities and to really hone in on your method, your style of doing that works for you, because then over time, more people are going to come find you and see that. That's what I always say about affiliate marketing. It's like planting seeds, putting a link in this blog post here and really talking up that recommendation, showing why it is a benefit to them, talking about what the not so good things are about that thing, and having people essentially trust that recommendation from you. People a year from now, 2 years from now, 5 years from now are going to come back and see those videos, see those podcasts, see those blog posts. And those can be opportunities for people to see those seeds that you planted earlier and sort of turn into something for you. So as a reminder, if you head on over to smartpassiveincome.com/toolkit, you'll get a resource page showing up here with some emergency podcast episodes. Episode 2 here is what to do if you get laid off. Number 1 here is about maintaining your business during this situation. Some work from home materials. You can also download my course, Smart from Scratch, and get access to that. It's free. Normally it's $249, but we are offering it for free to help out during this moment in time. Build your own brand, which is going to help you build a website. It's a 5-day challenge and a course essentially to do that. And the 0 to 100 email challenge to help you build your email list right now. We also have the PDF files of Let Go and Will It Fly, as well as some assistance and support from ConvertKit and Buzzsprout, offering free accounts to schools, governments, and NGOs. So a lot of good stuff there. Again, smartpassiveincome.com/toolkit. And yeah, just really happy you're here once again. So it seems like some people are having access to the chat. I don't know why it's not working properly, but typically the chat is going gangbusters. So I'm going to scroll up for the last 10 minutes here and find some questions that perhaps I missed. And we're going to try to do whatever we can. Let's see, question. I'd love to become a relationship coach, but I've heard the market is saturated, or that the only way to make money is by selling how-to-coach programs. Is the career path likely a flop? Well, if it's saturated, it's likely not a flop. It just means that you're going to have to work a little bit harder to determine what your specialty is within that space. Excuse me. So I think it's really important to understand that if a market seems saturated, that can be used for good, because you can go in there and figure out what it's like there to see where there might be holes, there's likely a lot more noise about what people like and don't like about people in that situation. And you can come up sort of with an advantage, seeing what's already out there better than somebody getting into a new space, right? Like this is creating a Tesla in a car market, seeing what's out there, seeing what doesn't work, and building something that can fit in versus, because Elon didn't invent a new car, he just made a better car. But Compare that to when people were talking about the Segway, that two-wheeled thing that you lean on that like mall cops use. That was supposed to revolutionize walking and travel, and it didn't. Now we only see it in tours around the Bay, here in San Diego, or at the mall. And it was because, well, nobody ever was able to give feedback on that. It didn't even exist before. So there is an advantage of having some sort of market there already. And the advantage is, yes, it's proven. But number two, I think that you have to find a specialty in there that's not already tackled. And that's where you could sort of plant your flag and have some position. I don't think that it would be a flop unless you didn't put the energy and time to turn it into something. Corey says, last question. Channel as your name or as what your niche is? Maybe as one's name, since the titles and thumbnails describe the content anyway. Titles and thumbnails more important to search. Titles and thumbnails are way more important to search. Absolutely. I believe there's a little bit of weight of having a keyword in the title of or the channel name of your channel here on YouTube, but to do it just for that is not going to be worth it. I think that it depends also on what you're creating and who it is ultimately that you're serving. However, in many cases, a name will make sense, but also a brand can make sense too. And your name is just going to show up in anyway, right? Like Yes Theory. We know the people behind Yes Theory, but Yes Theory pretty much just describes exactly what this is. What if we said yes to doing these things that scared us, right? And so that's really cool. So I think it's going to be really up to you. That's a decision that's going to be an important one, obviously, but I would play the fast forward game in your head. Pick one, fast forward a year from now, it's going successfully. It's how people are describing it. Is that work for you? Does that make sense? Or would you have wished it was the other way and play the game the other way too? Can you explain the value of podcasting over a vlog or even video like what you're doing now? So yes, this is a great question. So podcasting is a very evergreen situation. This live stream may not be as valuable to people on the replay. Podcasting is much easier to create. I don't have to worry about what I look like, what I'm wearing. I just need a great microphone and that's it. It's much cheaper to do if you want to do it right, typically, because you need some video equipment versus just a microphone, $59, the Samson Q2U. And podcasting is still in the early days versus video, which is very saturated right now. So there's less than 1 million podcasts. Also, the retention rate for normal videos is, if you have a video that's watched for more than 5 minutes, these live streams are a little bit different, obviously, because these are community-based, really, versus search and algorithm and that sort of stuff. But if you have a video that's being watched for over 5 minutes, guess what? You're doing extremely well on YouTube. A normal retention rate on a podcast is 70 to 90%. So think about that for an hour-long episode. I mean, that is ridiculous. People are listening to 40 minutes, 50 minutes of a podcast episode, and that's incredible. That's absolutely, I mean, the passive nature of consumption of podcasts is what makes it so powerful. People can listen to you on the run. People can listen to you without internet connection because those episodes get downloaded onto people's devices when they subscribe. There's so much value there, so much so that companies now are looking for podcasters who don't even have large numbers to advertise on because they can see the relationship that they have with their audience. It's just that much more stronger. Let's see. Yeah, it looks like the questions aren't working again, which is fine. But it's okay, because we got some more questions above that I could probably find. All right, we answered a bunch already. Let's see. Krissa says, hey, Pat, thank you for your daily empowerment. I've come up with a podcast name idea, and I'd love your feedback. Name the Minimalist Podcaster. What do you think the show is about? Thanks. So this would name the Minimalist Podcaster. So is it more of an activity or a guessing game? Is it like, or is the name the Minimalist Podcaster? I'm not sure which one. If it's the first one, which the name of it is Name the Minimalist Podcaster, then I would imagine it's more like a quiz show. I have a guest come on and I don't know exactly who they are and I have to kind of guess. I don't know if that's the case. Perhaps now that I'm talking about this, it's more likely the Minimalist Podcaster, which means you are somebody who lives a minimalist life. You value things that spark joy for you. You value the lack of clutter. You value organization. And things are really important to you. And you keep those things that are important to you close to you. And you try to block out, remove other things that are in your life. And this podcast would be one where we could connect with somebody like you, who is a minimalist, who just talks about all things minimalism. So that's what I would imagine, perhaps what it's about. All right. Question: have you ever been stuck on how to do something and your son or daughter figured it out for you? Yeah, this happens all the time. The kids are amazing at coming up with ideas. It's hard to read the label when you're inside the bottle, and there's no reason why kids can't come up with some fun and interesting ideas. I'm trying to remember a specific example. Typically, it's not about business. It's about things around the house, things sort of in daily life that they are definitely helpful with. The kids are little sponges. They learn so much and they can do so much. And I think that allowing them the ability to help solve problems this young age and doing it even though I can't solve a problem is really important, because it doesn't show like, no, like I know everything and they don't know anything. It's like, hey, we're all in this together. We're a team. And sometimes I'm going to pass you the ball and you're going to score. We're all going to win together. Sometimes I'm going to, take the shot, and sometimes you'll take the shot. And I think that's key. So we got 4 minutes left. Looking down, it looks like more questions have not come in, which is kind of insane. So let me just give you some words of inspiration here before as we finish off. So, hey, we're living in crazy times right now, but thank you so much for joining me today. I just definitely want to give you a dose of inspiration here, because there's definitely the battle that we're fighting within. There's a lot of things that you're likely saying to yourself that are about the current situation that make things more difficult. And in many cases, things are more difficult, obviously. But there's also a lot of opportunity out there as well. And just big credit and shout out to one of my mentors, Michael Hyatt, who posed this question as soon as this all began. And he said, what does this make possible? So what perhaps might be the thing that you've been looking forward to doing that you just never had the time to do? And this could be business related. This could be family related. I think there's huge opportunities to grow in both of those sectors right now. And yes, there are things that we can't control, but there are also things that we can control. So number one, look for the helpers out there. Hopefully you found one in me, but there's likely other people that are helpful in the realm that you are focusing in right now too. Number two, try to consider who else is out there who is already successful doing what it is that you're thinking about doing already. That was really huge for me when I started, knowing that an online business was even possible, and that there were people who weren't so well versed in technicalities, who weren't, the smartest in their industry, who were still making a living. And I found examples of that, and I really used that as inspiration. And number three, when you can, ask for help. This is the number one thing that helped me when I first started too, not being shy to ask for help. And for me, it was very tough because I grew up in a house where everything had to be perfect. And so I would come home with a 97% on a test, and I would be forced to figure out the last 3% for the next 3 hours, and not being grateful for the 97%. That was just the kind of household I lived in, and I love my parents. They're amazing. But that was not feeling very good. And if only I had learned earlier in life to be grateful for the things that I had done and that I did accomplish, perhaps I would have been more motivated to finish off and top off those things, but still not feel so bad about getting really close to doing perfect. So you don't have to be perfect. Create something. Know that entrepreneurship is a process. It's all about pivoting, and just keep going. We're all in this together. Even though we might be feeling very alone right now, we are all in this together. And of course, the comments are now working. So there we go. So hey, you are the example I found. What are you working on these days, says Chris? Or how are you getting better in any part of your life? Well, number one, I'm trying to go live as much as I can, because I was afraid of doing it before. And this being my accountability for doing that is getting me to get a lot better at this and to improve my practice of sort of ad hoc, impromptu public speaking in this kind of way. What do you recommend for someone who has all the equipment and wants to be a podcast producer, who has all equipment and wants to be a podcast producer or assist others? Go out and ask people if they need help. It's as easy as that. Good point. Thank you so much for being vulnerable with us. Video description could have your web URL. Thank you. You're absolutely right. Thanks, Pat. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate you. Head on up there right now, smartpassiveincome.com/toolkit. That is a free resource for you with a bunch of good things that you can get right now to help you during this current situation. And finally, I just want to say thanks. We're at the top of the hour now. I appreciate you. Hasta la vista says, Pat, how many t-shirts do you have? Each day of the quarantine, we've had a different one. Oh, we're not even, we haven't even scratched the surface, man, with the t-shirts that I have, with different sayings, with funny things, with serious things. I'm a kind of a t-shirt hoarder. Anyway, appreciate y'all. Thank you so much. Keep up the great work. And some of you I'll see on the webinar today for Amped Up Podcasting, which is a 201 course that I have. And we're going to drop some knowledge bombs on you to help you grow your podcast, whether you take advantage of that or not. So it's going to be a lot of fun. And hey, I'll see you tomorrow. Put it in your calendar. Hit that bell notification icon, 8 a.m. tomorrow or 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific. And as always, Team Flynn for the win. Thanks.